Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah Z with Simplicity Magnified. So here we are with today's blog post video called 3 Ways to Be More Like Jesus. Let's get started. How do you feel when somebody shows you love? I know that when somebody shows me love, I feel important, I feel special, and really I feel encouraged to extend that love to other people. Now, I'm curious, where do you get your example of what love is and how to show love? The best example that I have is Jesus. I know that he was perfect. I know that he loved people unconditionally, despite their flaws, despite their sins, and he was just the best example overall of loving people. When Jesus loved people, he loved them hard, like he was serious about it. He really made sure to let people know that he loved them without having to say anything. That says a lot. He made time out of his entire day for specific people and for specific amounts of time, and sometimes just to hang out with them, just to sit there and talk to them. You know, obviously share a lot of wisdom and parables with people, but he took time out of each day he had for people and showed them love. So yes, of course, Jesus' love was sent from heaven. So it's a little bit different than ours because it is perfect. And that means that we can't be perfect in our love, but we have a template for the way to love people. And like I mentioned before, Jesus exemplified what it meant to love people with your life, but he went as far as showing people that he loved them through his death. So when you think about Jesus's days on earth, like what exactly did he do? What actually made him somebody who was perfect and loved people unconditionally? Like what exactly was it that he did? I mean, think about it. He made time for the little kids. You know, when his disciples were trying to say, no, take the kids away, Jesus doesn't have time for them. And Jesus said, let the kids come to me. Let the children come to me. Jesus really left us a template on how to treat other people, including kids. And not only that, he made time for his friends. He made time to heal people. He made time to feed people. He made time to make sure that people knew that they mattered to him, to make sure that they all understood what he stood for and who he represented, which is God. So now I think about, I wonder how these people felt after being around Jesus. I know right now that when I do spend time with him, when I spend time in his word and spending time in prayer and just spending time with him in general, I feel uplifted. I feel like I can conquer the world. I just feel so light and free and full of joy. And now I can only imagine how people felt when they physically seen and felt Jesus in their presence. Like, imagine that. Now, how do we love like Jesus to help people flourish? And how can we help them blossom into better people? Number one is that Jesus made himself available. Now think about it. What is it that Jesus gave most of? Aside from his life, he gave his entire life, but he gave most of his time to other people. He made himself available to other people as well as the will of God. And the way that it kind of worked out was that he made himself available for the will of God, and it resulted in being available for people. So when I think about how we can apply that to nowadays, I would have to say, how can we be available to others? After having some conversations with a couple of women of faith, a lot of them actually did mention the fact that being available makes such a big difference in friendships, in family relationships, and even if it is just a simple cup of coffee that they want to meet up for, or let's go grab a bite to eat, or go sit at a park, or whatever the case is. It might not be something humongous, but just making yourself available for them, it changes the way that people are. I mean, a simple phone call, a text message, those little things do matter, and they make a difference in somebody's attitude in their life. So let's just go ahead and remind people that you're available, we're available to have and spend time with them whenever your schedules obviously meet up, but just make sure that you are putting the invitation out there. Take the initiative to make that invitation and make it happen. Number 2 is do the small things, because the small things actually make up the bigger things. And this is really funny to me because when I first started Simplicity Magnified, my whole point was to magnify the simpler things in life so that people understood that the littler things or the smaller things in life made up the big picture. So when you think about Jesus and the different things that he did, they probably don't seem small to us just because, I mean, come on, he was Jesus. But at the same time, they were small things. He cooked food for people. He washed people's feet. He hung out with the kids. You know, these small things actually made up the bigger picture of God's plan and the different lessons that God wanted to help us understand throughout our entire lives. The best part is that God knows the big plan, the big picture from the very beginning. And all he wants us to do is do the little things, do the small things that we may think that they're not important or don't have a big impact. But when we start doing the little things, we start understanding and kind of start seeing the bigger picture bit by bit. So taking a cup of coffee to somebody's work or house or wherever they're at may seem super small, but you never know, that person could have easily been praying that God would show them a sign that he is real and he used you. So just do the small things. Number 3 is to love unconditionally. Jesus is like the definition of loving unconditionally. He knew what it was like to love somebody past their sins. And he hung out with sinners. He ate dinner with his betrayer, Judas, at his Last Supper. But the best part about Jesus and the best example that he gave us was that he didn't look at the sins of the people. He looked at the people, he's seen them in their best version of themselves. And so he was able to look past their current sins and love them unconditionally, despite what they knew that they were either doing or had been involved in before. He looked past that and he loved them regardless of it all. And I feel like that's something that us believers nowadays find it hard to do. We find it hard to see someone and know that they did us wrong, and we would just rather not deal with them. Whatever sin it was that they committed against us or that we know of, we see those things and we hold on to them, and then we make judgments against those people. And that's not what Jesus did. By no means. If anything, he's seen the sin and he still went ahead and loved them unconditionally. I think the point I'm trying to make here is that Jesus wasn't focused on the sin. He was focused on who that person was to become. And I think that's where we as believers need to really start seeing the best in people. Obviously, be wise, but see the best in people and love them unconditionally. Because honestly, when you're so wrapped up in everything that they do wrong, then that's all you see. You don't see the person. You don't see what they might be dealing with. You don't see the hurt they might be feeling. And so once we go ahead and let the sins fall away and just see this person, we're able to love them the way that Jesus loves them. So there's a book that I read, and it's called Love Does by Bob Goff, one of my all-time favorite authors, is about putting love into action. And I feel like this is one of those books that is so important for relationships, because that book talks about different stories of Jesus, but also how they relate and how they correlate with the things that we can do nowadays and the things that we can do for other people, and just Bob's stories of what he's done for people. And it's super encouraging, and it really just makes you want to change how you love people and put your love into action for other people and die to yourself in order to love people through your actions selflessly. So Bob Goff, Love Does. He also has another one called Everybody Always. That one is super good. It's kind of on the same lines, but it's just loving everybody always. Like, that's the premise of the entire book. So I will go ahead and link both of those down below so you guys can check those out. So I want to wrap this up by saying, let's love people despite their sin. Because we can allow their sins and the wrongs they might be doing against other people or us, we can let those overshadow how we're supposed to love those people. And you may never know. You might be the only person that can love this person despite their flaws. They may have lived their entire life with everybody saying, but you do this and you do that, so you're unlovable. Be that one person that says, despite that, you are loved. And show it through your actions. Because going back to what I was saying was that when I feel loved, when somebody shows me love, my entire mood changes. I feel happier. I feel like I can run a marathon for whatever reason. I feel emotionally uplifted. And I just feel like a completely different person from something super simple, like a compliment or a random flower or something just small with thought behind it. Just imagine the domino effect that you can create and you can start just by loving people, just by putting your love into action for people, and just watch that love grow and make its way to other people. So I'm going to challenge you guys with this. How can you be more like Jesus to your friends and family? How can you love them more, and how can you show that through your actions? Go ahead and leave those in the comments below so we can talk about it a bit. And until next time, guys, love God, love others. Bye.